yanks out the grass, and after right underneath his mouth, live guns. The grass is still there. That's the pshat. After Yelachachu Akol is called Svivo Isteinu. Moyev they're not going to touch because I'll touch it as Moyev. But after Yelachachu Akol is called Svivo Isteinu. But right under its mouth remained whole. So that's what Yid's not going to do. Then they're not going to touch us, but they're going to take all the nations all around us, and we're going to end up isolated, alone, like an island in the middle of all these Yidden all around us. What are we going to have? Whom are we going to have? No allies, no friends, nothing. That's what they're afraid of. That's what I said till now is the shot, like I said from one of the Rishonim. So let's make a cheshbon, delu mazeh. Fran amol that a shlichus is direct. You say, you teach, you talk, you do, you act, you toy, whatever it is. Then there's the kind of shlichus, it's called sviva yistein. Lav davke ameret mityenem, lav davke you talk directly to and you act directly on, but you create a sviva, kol sviva yisteinu, where a yid memela will gravitate to avor, to a yiddische, to a mitzvah, a toiveton. You create all around that kind of environment. That's the le'umas of the daige of Moyav Ato Yelachach Hu Akol, it's called Sviva Yisteinu. What does it mean in terms of a shlichus? Take a few examples. The Rebbe spoke, that what I remember is about a year and a half straight. Lamed Vov, I think you take Kislev Lamed Vov, the whole year, Lamed Zayin, who remembers the round? Yeah. Atei L'chorav. Atei L'chorav, geknackt Atei L'chorav, the Rebbe printed Kontreisim, Avos Yisrael, special for Mashpim. Remember, there was that kufa, it didn't stop. And the Chidushim in Atei L'chorav, all of a sudden, Atei L'chorav Mashpim in Torah, in Avoide, in Gimel and Chasod. It sounded funny every time Mashpim. But when you think about it, it made gewaldige sense. Because there's a lot of skills that go into Hashpoah. The guy who can say a good shir, lav davki is a praktische yid who can give you an eitzah and help you out with an eitzah in Gashmias, who can advise you. And lav davki that he had a chushin an hogge. And lav davki that he's a yid, an elchi, achzidish yid, was it davn, a dugmachai. The other one, pum fakert. Alle miles are. Yeah, they say that, who was it? Who was the Rabbi Yekaterinoslav before Rabbi Levi? Rabbi Wolf. Kozhevnikov was his name. Rabbi Wolf was the Yekaterinoslav Rav. Well, now, Rabbi Wolf be'etzem was a kvad peh. Couldn't talk. As a matter of fact, at Sof Yomov, Zayin Digno Charov, whenever he talked about Tam in Yoni Ho'ela, he couldn't understand what he's saying. But when he talked to people, or a Shaila Geret, a Tshuva, all of a sudden, he used to say, Ich bin dem Rebbe Goylom. The Maral made a Goylom out of clay. The Rebbe made a Goylom out of flesh. The Rebbe meant, the Rebbe didn't have machtenik. He gemacht a Goylom from flesh. A frach Chassidish Yid very nice. He's not charged over the mouth. And I'm sure all of you know such tziyurim, gewaltig to look at and to emulate, but not necessarily to listen. Yeah. So the Rebbe said, yes, there'll be a mashpia in this department, that department, Obedol dain astei lechorav. Now, I must say, in those days, when we heard it, at least for me, it was ma'orer adaike. You understand? What's the Rebbe doing? Is he backing away from Chassidim? Is there something like what the Alter Rebbe, how would it strike you? Is there something like the Igeret HaKodesh where the Alter Rebbe writes, guys, it's getting too much, which didn't work either. But whatever it was, is this what's happening? I remember at the time writing a letter. I was in Australia. I would write letters, aerogram. Remember the blue? Thursday night was letter writing night. So I wrote a letter home, and in the letter, I wrote what I heard from Rabbi Yoel at the Fabrengen, with his Kislev Tovshin Lamed Dalet. The Meister with the Rabbi Yomen Kletzke, the Alter Rebbe's Chotze, the famous Rabbi Yomen Kletzke, Eino It Milvade, the bottom line, right? So he was a Stoicher, but Gewena, a Goim and a Chossid. So he was in a certain place, and the Alter Rebbe was meant to come to that place and take Chassidus and to Nemer of Yechidus. I don't know what went wrong, but the Alter Rebbe didn't come. So the Olam had already gathered, so they said to Rabbi Yomen Kletzke, since everybody's here, they wanted to hear Chassidus. No, Yechidus doesn't try. But they wanted to hear Chassidus. So Rabbi Yomen should the Chazar HaMayim. So Rabbi Yomen Kletzke said, I'll give you a mosque. A pretty sharp mosque. There was once a chassan, a Gvirish chassan. And the state it used to be that when a Gvir married off a child, so besides the Misubim, the friend and the relative, the Mishpocha that he invited around the table, they made special tables for Ormalite. Had no shaykhs to the chotin, to the khaled, to the chatana, but if you're making a suda, so you make tables for the Ormalite, they should come, they should have a square meal, and as a matter of fact, the people used to wait for weeks and months for a tada chasana, they're going to chaparine a good meal. In fact, there's a Yiddish writer who wrote a short story about the time when the Bettler went on strike, the Ormalite went on strike. Episodes in each geschmeckt that the menu that they were given was not quite the same menu as the rest of the guests. So they got together, they unionized, they said they're going on strike, they're not coming the next time. And the story described the feverish negotiations back and forth between the Balas Simche with the Ormalite, that became the Nishmach, Achasana, and so Nisdain the Ormalite, what kind of a Simcha is that? So the negotiations back and forth until finally they relented and they're coming to the Achasana, back to the Yomen's Mosque. So there was a Gvir who made Achasana, and he invited all the Ormalite. But mamish, as they're going to the chuppah, a tragedie. The Kalle toch never gefällt, she's gone. Tragedy. So the simcha, you understand? Nebchala Tuke turned into. So everybody goes, leaves, Bekoy with Rosh, Nebacha. such a terrible thing. Who stays? The Ormalite. I mean, Lachatchila, they didn't really come for the Chachana. They came for the meal, and the meal's still there. So they're sitting there eating. But in the middle of the meal, they feel something missing. What do you think is missing? Music. Chasana, there's klezmer, there's lebendig, freilich. And now they're sitting and eating, but there's no music. So the Gvir ordered a special klezmer from Vienna, they should play at the Chasana. But the klezmer obviously went home. There's no simcha. So the Ormalite hired a shepherd boy that he should toot. You know, the shepherds play the flute when they're watching the sheep. So they got hold of a shepherd boy and they asked him to play the flute so there'll be music the meal. Dr. Rabbi Yomi stellt sich vor, was Tammuz, and imagine what kind of erech it has. They had this pfeiferei of this shepherd boy, legabe the klezmer from Wien, when there's a simcha. The Alter Rebbe didn't come, so what are you doing? You find some shepherd boy and he's gonna fight. And they work. So I wrote the whole. That was what I was thinking. What's going to happen? We're going to find the Aselach Arab, and that's going to be like some shepherd boy tuning instead of. I didn't know about it B'Shat Ma'aseh. My father, Rabbi Shalom, had a policy that the Rebbe likes to hear unofficial channels. What's going on by Anash? What's happening in the life? What's happening? So he would give in not official duchs. Official duchs tend to be more rose-colored than there ain't a bildach take, shafna nachas ruach for sure. So they tend to look better than reality, hard-nosed reality. But when you have minatzad, incidentally, someone reports, I'll give you another dugma. It was my first Rosh Hashanah Shlichus in Melbourne. And I'm in the Lubavitcher Shul. It was the first time I was away from the Rebbe. Ever since I was 7 or 8 years old, I always stood at the Rebbe's Gimel. And it was, it was life and death. If you remember what 770 was like, so the only way you got air was from up. A little boy, too far, the air is a little too far to give any takonas nefesh. But the Chaim action, I had a place at the corner of the Rebbe's Gimel. Every single year, I never went away for Yom Neroim. Always was by the Rebbe's Gimel. This was the first time I was away. Even up is still Kalamutne, and then on top of everything else, all of a sudden there's an auction. The auctioning, the aliyahs of the Rosh Hashanah they can create. It really didn't go down well. Rosh Hashanah, auction, and you know the bidding starts, and the bidding goes together with an ego trip. I can outbid you, now you're going to outbid him. And Take, a Shene Gvir, a Balabot, he got an aliyah. He bid high. Don't come to the aliyah, Ya'amoid. He turns around and he points behind him. There was Ayid Moshe Hanovich, a barber. He ran a barber shop from home. Ayid. You can imagine what kind of great fortunes he earned from his little barber shop in his living room. People used to come and have haircuts. Moshe Hanovich never dreamt in his whole life that he would ever have an aliyah, Rosh Hashanah. So all this bidding was about what? Giving Mr. Hanovich an aliyah Rosh Hashanah. So I wrote it home. when I came home after 2 years, I asked my father to keep the letters, so I'll have a record of what happened during Shlichus. I come home, I find, the letters are there, and the Rebbe said, yeah, that was tight. So, what's this? That's when I discovered that I've been sending along these letters into the Rebbe, not versteht the whole thing. My father would mark with a line, and not all my brother, my second. So he'd mark a paragraph or two, one to the Rebbe to see, and gave it. So, on this thing, the Rebbe said, Chua bat goydel ha'nachas. See, that's what I mean from the site. Not an official report, a ploini made an auction. It's a kid writing a letter home about what he saw and the effect. So when it came to the Rabbi Yom Kletzker, the story in this morsel, guess what? It was all sent in. And the Rebbe sent it out with a notation that Jewish chain, no grading. But I think the Rebbe saw that the Anash had a problem with it. Didn't stop, geknackt, geklappt, asay lechorav. But I find that it's one of the Rebbe's less successful campaigns. There's still a pile in the Rebbe's office, a pile of contrastions that the Rebbe printed from Mashpiyim, Kudlet Avet Yisrael, with a special cover. And if I'm not mistaken, it was with the Rebbe's name. The Rebbe initialed each one. So it would be a matone for a mashpia, so that he would feel a yipur koyach, an empowerment to go ahead and be mashpia. That a big pile of those contrastions are still there. Why again? Okay. These daigis, then heint nicht as a shaykh, yeah? The Rebbe's desire that asay lechorav definitely remains. And I always hack my kids and my talmidim, find somebody to be a mashpia. Asay means push yourself. The Rebbe often said, like ma'asrin ala toke. Somebody doesn't want to give toke. From mashkintmen, they take his kalim. Ma'asrin ala toke. If somebody's obsessed that he's supposed to give a certain amount, ma'asrin. Asay lecharav heitze beferish nicht gishmak. Beferish not so comfortable to have somebody over you that you report to. It's beferish not so doesn't feel so good that you don't do something if you ask the mashpia and he said no. Takenato ayayay. Huh? Asay. But the other side of the coin that's connected to that you have to create the environment. You have to allow yourself to be that resource for other people. And this is especially important for your Mekarim people. So Baruch Hashem, mit ungehorvet Yor, from when the guy first started putting on film. Nachher a bittel weiter, he's keeping some kosher at home. A bittel Ashmir Shabbos. Finally, I had a ganz feine junge man or a couple. Shene, Elachim. But they're looking to you. They never had experience in running a Yiddish house. Why? Because they don't have any memories of what they were as Pitzalach, so they'll do what the book says. But when the kids are teenagers, they have memories of what they were as teenagers. And those memories are not what they want to repeat. They're looking for a different model. So they need guidance. they need help. So, yeah, it's a tight middle can gain allein. We started you off with training wheels. Now it's time to ride this up. But they need that guy. Mit Tor nicht vergessen auf Anash. We're on to the next conquest, next Chabad house, next Mitzvah, next project, next JLI class. What's happening? Very interesting apostle and Maimon Chazal. David HaMelech, of shlichus to places, but it was a homegrown shlichus. His grocery store truck became a one-off, eventually of Chassidus Chabad. The Baal Shem Tov said that Atoiveton Ayidin begashmius ubefrat beruchnius darten haben Mesiras Nefesh. Und an Neshome kommt darauf, lebt auf 70, 80 Jahre. Aber Toivoton Aiden, Gashmis, Veret no Beruchnis. You know what that means? That when this person was born, already he was linked up with Tamad and Neshama. It was like twinned from the very beginning, from his birth. He was born, I never understood, by the way. So I was born to do someone else's favor. Why would he do it? Was die jener had eigen hier is? Born to someone else.
No, toen dat zo'n tik kom ik gewoon een velk en doe het met iemand tegen.
Ja, no.
Meneer de mensagje. Als ik niet zijn veld, dat niet kan maken met de tijd. Kom ik, kan hij doen het maken de tijd.
Wat was bist du dan?
Kan hij doen het maken de tijd.
Je sollte machen de tijd.
Zeg ik, toen dat ze opgekomen.
Met wat bist du zeugen met de Atmaut? Atmaut, eigen Messias, ad ich darf sein der.
Weil de vrienden kijken.
Maar zo did the God, the child. I think that the idea is that
the Zohar Zorkas, the rain and the stopping al yedei translates. What's the
collega nicht kann nicht reden.
Was ist das Zohar? Warum ist eine Zirkel?
Das ist ein anderer Wort. He's saying that Ploini came down to the world in order. And what about the other guy?
Was ist Zirkel von der Scham? Alle zusammen. Jeder in dem Stopping translates. In the Tzir Toimet, all the time.
Doch nicht im Pshat, aber Toimet on Yende. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. The Pshat, that this piece is in order that the other piece should make a picture. All of them together make a picture. Doch the Chaychat is not this piece is for that piece. It's a communal project. But that's not the word that an Neshama comes up about Toiveton, Yenim Begashmi is of the Frat Beruchni is. That the other guy's there, and I'm here to do my Toivet. That's a different
What's
word.
wrong with that?
Not the statement of Zoya.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with the communal?
So the other guy's there, and he's there, Fatik. You have
so
to
why is one guy there with Tadastmoy, and another guy is there to do my thing?
De fragt dat schijt auf den Nebischen. De Nebischen hat gewollt, dass der soll kommen, getan hat eben jenem. Von was ist jenem da? Geen fragt der Nebischen, von was jenem ist da.
Why can't you do a tape from someone else? Why can't you do a tape from someone else?
What sense does it make that some people have an independence, independently justified existence, and other people are there because of the...
Why can't you do a tape? Why can't you do a
So sometimes
Why can't you do a tape from somebody else?
Sorry.
That guy is
Sorry,
doing a tape from somebody else.
That guy
Is that a good tape from somebody else? There to help him, and he helps him.
How do you know? Maybe I'm a McCall. Maybe I'm this. You should be there. Why should I get the vote? The mind should get down to a favor. Maybe I'm here to be done.
And which exit were you meant to be doing? Which was 630? So it's not way through all.
This is just a question. Just to get them right. I use them that up.
It didn't say that every Jew has to be always there. Yes, it does. Look at the what it said. Sufficient reason which a person will.
Frag the Rebbe, if you do it 10 years, wie ist gemacht jenen Fahrradbauschule?
So
it took 10 years for this,
From when the
Alter Rebbe
became a Balagola until he actually accomplished the mission.
and when he accomplished the mission, he went back to the Mittler Rebbe, and the Mittler Rebbe told him, Ois gefiert, you've Ois gefiert, and now you can go back to Beshenkovish as Anna Mashpir. So the Rebbe asks him a sikha, why did the Alter Rebbe tell him 10 years beforehand, as Latoivas deine Shome, besser zu sein a Balagola wie zu sein a Rob? He should have told him 3 weeks beforehand. Das heißt, in this times also other Gefirtas, they should come and ask him to sign a rob 3 Wochen before he met the Baal Tshuva.
Like give up all
Okay,
yeah.
But the Rebbe gesagt, na sich moire. The Rebbe gesagt, Ula yesh leimar, it took 10 years zu brachen von Rabbi Yosef auf zu ausführen such a davening, was gepelt auf jenem zu sein.
I didn't hear that.
The Rebbe said, the Ula Yeshleimer, it took 10 years of Zubrochenkeit by Rabbi Yosef Beshenkovich that he should become so Zubrochen that his davening was able to be poil of this year to become a Baal Tshuva. That's Pshat Kolech. His Neshama came down to machen Yenu for a Baal Tshuva. Aber was nicht wenn der Tikkun für ihn? His davening, even a Leben nicht vor davens, das gewann sein zu können.
You remind me of another mind. Out there is there. There was an argument between Yungelite, by whom were they? That's just the Mittler Rebbe's of the Tzemach succeeded. And one of the Yungelite took on him Tzadderech, his Skafie, he didn't eat, he didn't sleep, he's really... And his Chaverim gave him a hard time. What's the matter with you? So one time they went to be back in a choyle. An elder chosid, who also the balavoide, also did these not eating and not sleeping, and now he's sick in a choyle miyayin. He can't put on tefillin. So they went to visit him, and this elder chosid said, at the alle stick, all these tricks that I did, these destiny stuff weren't worth 1 day tefillin. So they finish being Mevakeh Choyle, and they come out, and all the Yungalites say, ah, see, he's the expert, and he's telling you that it's not worth it. Dr. Ingeman, yeah, what made him appreciate that? A day's tefillin like he does. It's for those stick. That was it. Yeah, so the Rebbe is saying that it was a Zerbrochenkeit from being a Balagola. Yeah.
After das
Das ist die meiste
the
meiste
10 Jahre später sind sie noch gewinnt zerbrochen nach Balagola.
Zerbrochen, also gehabt, als alle Leben nicht vor, was sie gekämpft heulen, als er zu viel, was sie einem sind.
Not shortcuts, pressing buttons.
No, wie verändert das?
Wenn es ein Tikkun ist?
Das ist ein
Okay, das ist Bild. Nochmal vor weiter. Lachai.
Sein Kasch.
Die gehen sich sicher.
Huh? Once ran out for the girls in camp. The whole mice you can get. They were poured out of the line. You ever read the mice from the Get Hip in my lane?
Ja?